Hey everyone, Chris from Midlife Crisis Media here for part 3, the final episode in the Sony PlayStation 3 Video Game Collection 2023 live streams. Almost didn't make it. It's one of the reasons why I'm wearing the hat. Didn't have enough time to clean up the dome. Got home probably 8 minutes ago. So I was rushing. I wasn't Russian. I'm not Russian. I'm Italian. I was rushing. So to be clear. So, where did I end off last week? I left off in the beginning of the R's. I think it was Ratchet and Clank. Can't be positive. But anyway, why do I do these streams? It's not to brag. There's 4 reasons. If a certain somebody's here, he's probably going to give me crap for doing this again. But I forgot to do it for a while. But 4 reasons. 1, it's good content for the channel. 2, it's fun. 3, lets me talk to all the awesome community people out there. And 4, it's good to have a visual record of my collection in case something happens. Simple. 4 simple rules, reasons, things. Anyway, so let's get into it. Starting off with a game I probably should have played. Did I talk about this last time? Yeah, I did. I took a game out of my collection and things moved. Damn it. I think I talked about Red Dead Redemption, the Game of the Year edition, last week. I don't care. I'm talking about it again this week. I moved some things around in the collection. I got rid of a game in the that I talked about because it was online only, and I think it shuffled some things around, and this ended up in this stack. Oh, anyway. Red Dead Redemption, have not played it. I played the prequel to this, Red Dead Revolver, which came out on the previous generation, which was kind of like a linear Western action game, which is really fun. I think Gun is better. But this one is the open world pseudo-sequel, sidequel thing. And this is the Game of the Year edition that comes with all of the add-ons. This has Undead Nightmare and the multiplayer aspect alongside the core game. But Western open world game, have never played it. Really went out of my way to try to find a copy of this Game of the Year edition because I didn't want to have to download anything extra. But I did want to play the Undead Nightmare because I hear it's actually really fun. Comes with a map. This is one of the other things I was looking for. None of the other ones that I was seeing online, versions of this, had the map with it. I know I talked about this last week. I absolutely know it. But I was holding out until I found one for a good price, and I did while I was at work on the toilet. That's the way. That's one of the places where I find the better deals is while I'm mid-loaf at work on the craptastic crapper. It works. But yeah, I know I talked about that last week. Anyway, now we're moving into. I need to get the game that came before this in the series. I've been looking for it, but I haven't been able to find it. Locally, at least, yet. Damn it, it's still got a label on it. It's kind of covering up the title. Whatever, I'll clean it up later. That is Red Faction Armageddon. I absolutely loved Red Faction Guerrilla. That was the game that came directly before this. The fact that you could destroy everything in it. It's an open world game. Follows all the open world rules. I think Guerrilla was I think it was the one that got me back into open world games. Like I wasn't into them for the longest time. Like I played Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. I played Godfather a little bit, the original Godfather. And I kind of like that one, but like the Grand Theft Auto games just didn't really do it for me. Like I could not really stand the open world, or I just didn't get what I was supposed to like. The idea of doing things at my own pace, making choices as to what I want to do instead of the game telling you what you have to do. Like I wasn't used to it at that point. Now I love it. And Guerrilla was, I do believe, the first one where I was like, this is awesome. I absolutely love the game mechanics. The main character is pretty cool. The environment, taking place on Mars was awesome. And it was just really, really fun. Like I was always looking forward to coming home from work and playing it. And then when I lost my job in 2011, I finished the game. Like I had stopped at a certain point, and then I was like, well, now I got all this extra time. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm looking for a job and all that, but when I'm not doing that, I could be, beating all these games that I have put off completing, and Gorilla was one of them. But the sequel, Armageddon, it follows the same kind of rules. It's not as good as Gorilla, but the cool thing is you get this gun that lets you rebuild things. So you can tear things down, because in the first game you had this like giant sledgehammer, and you can use that to just destroy everything. And the weapons that you get later on in the game, like the different guns and all that, do that also. But here, you'll come across environments that have already been torn down, destroyed by other people or whatever, other characters, the bad guys. And then you have this gun that will rebuild everything. Like you can shoot it and it will piece everything back together. And it's like a puzzle solving tool almost. Like, I need to get to the top of this tower, but the stairway has been destroyed. Rebuild. It's a really cool mechanic. It works. I played through this, I want to say, in like a week. Like, I loved Gorilla so much, and the mechanics of this one were the same yet different, but I had a lot of fun playing this one as well. Third person action game, super, super fun. I absolutely loved it, but I did not like it nearly as much as Gorilla. I need to find a way to remind myself that that's the game I need to look for next time I go out. And then we've got the OG. This was the first one was a launch game for the PS3, and it was one of the first games I remember purchasing for the PS3 when I finally did get it like a year later. That is Resistance: Fall of Man. It is a first-person shooter. There's an alien invasion on Earth during World War II, I do believe it was. And it's really fun. It's very dated now, but I did have fun playing it. But this was another one of those games that I had played to a point and then stopped. Probably that whole like, ooh, shiny, over here, play the new game. Forget the old game. That's old news now. New game. And like I had stopped at a specific point, and when I lost my job in 2011, I completed this game. And it was really fun. I do enjoy it. I love my first-person shooters. I thought the environment was really cool. It's kind of like the 360 had the Gears of War games. PS3 had the Resistance games. They're similar yet different. Like Gears of War was a third-person cover-based shooter. This one is a first-person shooter. But they do share similarities, and I think that was kind of cool that they kind of went on that same path. And these are by Insomniac Games. So when I completed that one when I was unemployed, I immediately popped in Resistance 2, and then this game broke my PS3. I talked about it in the first PlayStation 3 stream that I did 2 weeks ago, that put in Resistance 2 after I completed, like right after I completed part 1. I was like, let's just keep on going with the franchise. Put the disc in, sounded like it was loading, and then the PlayStation 3 just shut off. And I could not get it to turn back on again after that. And had to get Sony sent me a whole new PlayStation 3, same model, smaller hard drive. I complained about that to no end 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to do it again. But because of the memory of that happening, I've never actually gone back and played this once I got the PlayStation 2 back. But it is another first-person shooter, just a continuation of the story of the first one, obviously. But I have not played it, so I cannot comment. And then we have the inevitable Part 3, which is in 3D and is PlayStation Move enabled. So when I do get around to playing this one, I'm definitely going to do it with the Move controller and the gun peripheral that I have, because that just sounds like super, super fun times. You can see it down there. It uses the peripheral. All about it. Loves me a good first-person shooter, and hopefully the second one is better than the first, and the third one is better than the second and the first one. I know next to nothing about this. I picked this up, I think, at a GameStop because it was like dirt cheap. It was like $5. That's Resonance of Fate from Sega, and I do believe this is a tactical RPG. World-renowned RPG developer Tri-Ace. Dangerfield Journey, blah, blah, blah. I think this is just a straight-up RPG. I bought it because it was cheap and because it was Sega, and there was a point like at the beginning collecting where like a goal I had set for myself was like, I started finding all the Sega games for all the different consoles, and I was playing, and I was like, every single one of these games developed by Sega after the Dreamcast died have been pretty fantastic. Maybe I should try to get all of them. And I started to do that, and then I just kind of like petered out. So this was one that I found during that era, but I have not sat down to play it outside of popping it into my PlayStation 3 to see if there was an update available. And then we have this. Oh, yeah. I picked this one up. I remember when I was in LA visiting my brother, I had brought a lot of money because I wanted to check out this game store out there called Game Dude, but this did not come from Game Dude. This came from a Target. So we went up there during the holiday season, and my brother at that point in time was basically relying on my mother for money because he was not working all that much. So basically, it's like we're spending the holidays, with my brothers at my brother's place in LA. Oh, can you buy all the food that we need to cook for the holiday party too, Mom? So we ended up going to a Target and like stacking up 2 carts full of stuff for food. And I was like, well, you guys do that, because I'd probably get mad watching that happen, knowing that I had a job that was paying my bills just fine, but this guy, went to college and can barely pay anything. Is like suckling off mommy's teat. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the game section to see what they got. And I found this there on clearance for like $10. And I was like, well, I hear it's terrible. I remember watching a review of this by Pro Jared, and he confirmed that it is like one of the worst games ever made because it is just like beyond broken. And like the characters are unlikable and all that. But I was like, I don't care. I love B movies. I want to play a B video game. And that is Ride to Hell Retribution. It's like this Sons of Anarchy style motorcycle drama action game. And it is like I said, it is beyond broken. Like everything about it. Like everyone complains about Cyberpunk 2077. No, that ain't got shit on this from what I understand. I still not popped it in to play it. I have downloaded the updates for it and all that, but I have not been able to bring myself to play it just yet. So I will check it out eventually, but it's like a third-person action game. There's like fighting stuff, like beat-em-up stuff, and there's racing stuff because you're obviously, motorcycle clubs. There's a lot of like vehicle segments, but like the drama and the game itself is just beyond broken. So had to have it just because. What's up, Stubby? 2 is absolutely awesome. So I still need to play the last 2 games in the series. And I have one for the PSP. Or is it the Vita? Vita. I think there was one for the PSP too. I think I have both. Yeah, I have one for the Vita, and I think I have one for the PSP. I found this at a Half Price Books, and it's an import. Oh God, Ride to Hell is so bad. The weird fully clothed sex scenes. Oh yeah, I remember Pro Jared talking about it. I mean, that was what piqued my interest. Like the moment he's like, "Worst game ever made," I'm like, "Oh." Because I hear someone say worst movie ever made. I'm like, I must watch this. So I had to get it. And like I said, it was only $10. I don't care. I found this import at Half Price Books, and I didn't know anything about it. I was just kind of like, ooh, like how often do I find import stuff at Half Price Books? And since the PlayStation 3 is region free, I was like, I don't care. And I don't even know if this did come out over here in the US, but I was not going to pass it up. But it's Saint Seiya Sanctuary Battle. I think this is based on an anime of some kind, but it looks like one of those Dragon Ball one-on-one fighting games to me. Haven't played it. It looks very anime-esque. I'm assuming it is based on an anime. Their cosmos still burn bright. A dramatic battle action adventure based on the beloved 12 Places chapter. So yeah, this is based on an anime. I know nothing about that anime. I have no interest in finding out. It's obviously by Toho. No, sorry, Toei. 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 But yeah, whatever. I was dirt cheap also, which is why I picked it up. So these I have played. Well, at least the first one I've played, but I have not completed it yet because I got stuck. And that is Saw. You know me and my licensed games. I love horror movies. I am a fan of the Saw franchise. I saw every single one of them, even the recent ones, in the theater, and I plan on going to see Saw 10. But I had to get these in my collection, even though I heard back in the day when they were first released that they were not great. But I didn't care. But I just never really went out of my way to look for them until I got back into collecting. And then I found them both, I think, around the same time. And now part 2 was like really expensive. At least I think Mega Matt was saying that it was really expensive, and it took him a while to find it. But it's a bunch of... It has a story. You're playing as this cop. You've been captured by Jigsaw, and you're in this like big warehouse, and it's just nothing but traps, and you have to save people. You can save them. You cannot save them. Sometimes you absolutely have to in order to progress. Sometimes you're kind of given a choice. But like there's all these traps, and a lot of them are repeated later on. They're just harder to complete. And it's okay. It's fun. And each one is kind of like a mini game. Each one of the traps in order to get out is like a mini game. Some are fun. The ones with the needles in the toilets are stupid. Like the syringes in the toilets is dumb. But the one that I got stuck on is one of these like poison air, like the toxic air trap. you're in this area and you have like these pipes that you need to connect, kind of like Pipe Dream. You have all these pipes to connect, and you have to like turn these wheels that have all the different pipes in different configurations on. You have to match them all up, but you're like being poisoned at the same time. And they don't give you enough time before you die to actually complete the puzzle. And I tried it like, I swear, like 40 times. And I was like, you know what? The hell with this. I'll put it down. I'll come back to it later. And I haven't done that. And that's probably 3/4 of the way through the game. Like, I was pretty close to beating it. I did like it. I mean, although it was kind of basic, I was enjoying it. It definitely does feel like it belongs in the Saw franchise. So I was enjoying myself enough to say I should probably go and get the second one, Flesh and Blood, which is obviously more of the same. I hear it's more polished, and the script is a little bit better, and there's a whole bunch of new traps with new puzzle elements, to it. So I'll get to it eventually. I'll eventually beat the first one. Have I played Rambo? It's so bad and only. I do have it. I talked about it last week, Daniel. Welcome, by the way. Oh, yeah, I do have it. A friend of mine got me a copy. He got an extra copy by accident and gave it to me because he knows my license game obsession. And he said it was good until the last area. The last area, he said, was just like this difficulty spike, and it just sucked. Konami wanted to run Saw on their next Silent Hill series, but Konami was making a Silent Hill game themselves at that point anyway. Yeah. This one, I don't know if this is based on it. It might be based on an anime. It definitely looks like it's based on an anime. I did find this at that disc replay joint that I always talk about before they closed. Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes. I could not tell you what kind of a game this is. I have not actually played it. I got it dirt cheap at that disc replay joint. It looks like a fighting game. It looks kind of like one of those Musou games, like Dynasty Warriors. From the creator of Devil May Cry 4 comes Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes. Single-handedly fight your way through entire armies. It is one of those Musou games. That's pretty cool. I have not played it yet, though. Like I said, I just updated it. That's about it. It looked pretty cool. The cover art I liked, and that's probably one of the things that caught my eye. Do I have anything else up here that I am going to be talking about tonight? I don't think so, no. Okay. Next up, we have a Suda51 game, and that's Shadows of the Damned. I definitely need to get off my ass and play this. Maybe I'll play it for Halloween this year. I don't know. I got the 31-day movie thing that I do. Every Halloween, I watch a horror movie, or every October, I watch a horror movie a day. I don't know if I'll have time to play through an entire game since I'm already playing Cyberpunk 2077 again right now, and Final Fantasy VII Remake at the same time. But it looks like a third-person run-and-gun or action-type game. I have not played it outside of updating it. But I love Suda51. I think their games are just absolute madness. One hell of a trip. Uh-huh. I'll play through it eventually. Next up is, I have played this, but on a different console. At least the first two. And that is the Sly Collection. I've been trying to get all of these like Sony property collections that they've released for the PS3. Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus one. And then there was the Sly Collection. This has Sly 1, 2, and 3 remastered from the PlayStation 2 for this console. And it's PlayStation Move enabled. Ooh, I wonder how that's going to work. It's like a third-person stealth game. Dude's a rock star. His stuff is crazy. But these are third-person action stealth games. You're playing as a raccoon who's a thief, and he has a little entourage that goes around with him too. And the whole point is sneaking into places, not getting seen, and stealing a whole bunch of stuff, and just doing it all over again. Sometimes there's some vehicle stuff to break things up, but super fun. I really like the character of Sly Cooper, but I have not really played through the whole series. And there's a fourth one also for this console, exclusive to this console, and that is Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. Obviously, he is now a time traveler. Sly and the gang are back in an epic new adventure. The pages of the Thievius Raccoonus are disappearing, and now Sly and the gang must get back together to save the Cooper clan legacy from being destroyed forever. It's really, like I said, guys, it looks bright in here. It is not. It is really dark, and it's hard to read, and my eyes are shit. Travel through time, meeting and playing as Sly's ancestors as you race to recover the past to save the future. Ooh, mysterious. Sounds fun. Still got to play through game 3 and then this. But I will do that eventually. I'll eventually get around to playing all these. Had to get this one because it's PlayStation Move enabled. There was a bunch of games I was looking for once I realized that I can use my PlayStation 4, PlayStation Move stuff on the PS3. I went and downloaded. I should probably talk about that too. I downloaded House of the Dead 4 for the PlayStation 3 off the PlayStation Store because it is Move enabled and it is a light gun game, and I love light gun games, and I can't really play a lot of the ones that I own for other consoles because I don't have a CRT to play it with. But when I found out that I can play that on my PlayStation 3 on a modern day television, you bet your ass I was like, yes, this is happening. After I played it at the Midwest Gaming Classic with Jason of Corpse Flood in the arcade that they have there, I was like, when did this come out for the PS3? And Jason was even looking at me going like, I don't know. I had no idea. It turns out it wasn't physically released. It was digitally released. And I picked that up when they were talking about originally shutting down the store. So I went there and got it for like $10 or whatever it was. But SOCOM 4, I have all of the other games in the franchise. This one I don't think is... Well, it says it has a single-player mode. Yes, a 6-day single-player campaign through war-torn cities, dense jungles, and hostile villages. But these are online cooperative strategy shooters. And I'm pretty sure this is not online anymore. Not that I would ever play it online. But the fact that it has a single-player mode and I can use the Move controller to do so, hells to the ass. So I remember I would go to Video Games Then and Now, which is my new retro shop, and I raided their PlayStation 3 section for all their Move games. Because I love my light gun games and I play what I can. Next up is another compilation that is Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection. So this has how many? Over 40 classic titles like Sonic the Hedgehog and Streets of Rage, Altered Beast, Golden Axe, Forgotten Worlds, Phantasy Star, and you can unlock arcade versions of some of the games as well. I know that I can't remember if you play Alien. What is it called? Alien Storm. I do believe you unlock the arcade version of it, or maybe the arcade version of Alien Syndrome. One of those things. I know you can unlock a lot of Master System games. I know you can unlock Golden Axe Warrior on this. I don't know if you beat Golden Axe 1 and 2 or whatever in this, but you unlock Golden Axe Warrior for the Master System. This Genesis collection is better than the one for PS4 and Xbox One. I don't think I have them for those consoles, but this one just kind of did me just fine. Like they're never going to look any better than they look here. I mean, they're already in HD. What else are you going to do? Make it 4K? It's going to look exactly the same. It's going to be a bunch of little squares, pixels. But I played the crap out of that trying to unlock everything. I unlocked a fair number of things too. Then we have so what was it? Was it the last time? The last time I did these streams, which was like 3 years ago or whatever. I think I ended it during COVID. I think that I finished it off during COVID. It made me realize there were gaps in my collection. Like I had a certain amount of games for a franchise. I was missing certain ones. And I was like, oh, new goal, find those games. And I did. I found a lot of them. One of them was this franchise, and it's Sonic. Started off with that, which I already owned. But we have Sonic Generations. And this one I do believe is the one where Sonic goes back. Like it's a modern day Sonic game. Like it looks like the modern day graphics, but you go back to all the earlier Sonic games and play through them again with a modern day looking Sonic. So I've always wanted this one. I'm glad I was able to find a copy of it dirt cheap, and it's in 3D. It's in the 3Ds, everybody. It had different games, a few different ones. Then there's Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. There's an upgraded version of this called Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. What are these? Okay, so this is the Sonic kart racing game. Every franchise needs to have a kart racing game. Once Mario did it, everybody had to do it. But the thing is, these are actually pretty fun. It has a bunch of Sonic or Sega characters in it, like from the Sonic games, from Jet Set Radio, from, geez, I'm trying to think. Does it really say on here? I'm assuming some of the sports games, Samba de Amigo, and all that. It's fun. Super Monkey Ball and different type of vehicles. But the one that I played the most is this one, is Transformed. But I played it on the Vita the most. This one is kind of cool because your car can change depending on the environment you're in. So you can be driving on a road, you're a car, obviously, but then you jump and you land in the water, your car turns into a boat. It's very Mario Kart-esque. But the cool thing is, like, okay, extra characters are Danica Patrick and Wreck-It Ralph. It's a very fun game. I like these a lot. These are some of the better kart racing games as far as I'm concerned, especially Transformed. I like that one quite a bit. Space Channel 5 characters. Michael Jackson of the courses. Yeah, those are really, really fun. I like that more than Crash Team Racing. A lot of people are going to crucify me for that, but I like it. This one I didn't have, but I picked it up because I need to have it for the collection, but I know it's terrible. And that's the remake of Sonic the Hedgehog, or was it Sonic 06, I think it's known by. Because this one was just broken beyond belief, and it was kind of craptastic as well, from what I understand. I have not been able to bring myself to play it, but I've watched plenty of people streaming it that I've gotten the gist of what's going on, and it's very creepy that, oh God, what's her name from the Lost in Space movie, the one that played Penny. Oh, I can't remember her name. She's in all those Hallmark movies now. Plays the voice of this human princessy character, and she like falls in love with Sonic, so it's like a human falling in love with a hedgehog. It's kind of creepy and gross, but it's like a 3D Sonic game, and it's like it just does not work. It's broken. It was glitchy as all hell. I have played this one. This one I got for one of my the Super Neighbor Brothers podcast. I got it for the pet. My throat is going crazy. Backlog roulette that we do. And that is Sonic Unleashed. This is the one where Sonic turns into a werewolf. It's a werehog. And I played it. I'm supposed to beat these games, but 9 times out of 10, the game that I pick, or the game that I land on, I am assigned with the roulette, I end up not liking a lot of the times, and I just give up. And this was one of them. I played it for like 3 hours, and I was like, this is terrible. I can understand why people hated it. It is not fun. At least to me, it was not. I did not like the combat. I did not like the platforming. I did not like the just wandering around asking people things. I did not like it at all. Here's one that I picked up from my local shop because it's a Move-enabled title. That is Sorcery. Don't know much about this one. It looks like it's a third-person action game. PlayStation Move controller is your magic wand. Darkness is sweeping the land. And Finn, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, must stand against the Nightmare Queen to save the realm. Cast and combine powerful elemental spells, battle fierce magical creatures, brew potions to gain powerful new skills. That sounds pretty fun. I think the Harry Potter game that I have, was it Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, does the same kind of thing that this does, where your move controller is your wand, which sounds pretty fun. I'll have to give these both a shot once I get around to it. Danica Patrick. Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Everyone's all cartoony looking. Hey, look, Danica Patrick, guys. Had to get this because one of my goals was to get all the different variations of these games, because certain games in this franchise that were released as a multi-plat, each console got an exclusive character. For the second game in the franchise that came out on the PS2, the Xbox, and the GameCube, each one of them had one exclusive character for each console. And then when it came to this game, which is the fourth game in the franchise, each console, the 360 and the PS3, each got their own exclusive character. And this is the one that I did not have back in the day. I had the Xbox 360 version, and that's Soul Calibur 4. So these were Star Wars themed. The 360 version got Yoda. The PlayStation 3 version got Vader. And I thought it would be more fun to play as Yoda, because you have this, like, everyone in that game is a normal sized person. And then you got this tiny little toad man. And I thought that would be super cool to just have him hopping like a little toad on crack all over the screen trying to beat the crap out of Ivy and Voldo. But I never played the PlayStation 3 version, so I need to try this with Vader. I absolutely loved this game. I played this one probably the second most out of the franchise after the second one, because the second one is still my favorite. I played this one almost as much as that. Super fun franchise. I absolutely love Soul Calibur. I wish we had more games in this franchise, but it was not meant to be. And then we have the follow-up, Soul Calibur 5. Actually, I do have a box I need to grab. I will be right back. Give me 3 seconds, because it's right here. So this one I never picked up until I got back into collecting. After part 4, I didn't hear great things about part 5. I mean, everyone said it was fine. It was fine. Okay, it was fine. But no one was saying, like, look, this game is amazing. Everybody has to own a copy kind of reviews. And I was kind of disappointed. So I never really went out of my way to get a copy. So I never actually owned this one. And then I went to a half-price books in a really well-off neighborhood. And they had this special edition, collector's edition version sitting there, and it was only like $25. So I was like, oh, you are coming home with me, sir. So that's Soul Calibur 5. Obviously, this is just the game itself, more of the same. One-on-one fighting game, awesome graphics and controls and combos and everything, environments. But the collector's edition comes in this giant thing that looks like a book. Even the back of it looks like pages. So it slips out. And like I said, it does look just like a book. Even kind of has the texture. And it's like embossed and looks like a real bound book. It is pretty cool the way this thing is put together. And you open it up. And is this the making? Yeah, the making of Soul Calibur Blu-ray is right here. And it has this hardbound art book, The Art of Soul Calibur 5, which is pretty cool. And it has another CD in the back, which is the soundtrack. It tells you the track listing right here, which is pretty cool. That's pretty rad. I did not expect to find this. I played the shit out of Part 6. Part 6 is, I mean, don't get me wrong, this franchise, you know, the last one was released for the last gen consoles, and it is a fantastic game. I still love Soul Calibur, but, like, it's not my favorite anymore. Like, Mortal Kombat has taken it over, even though I am kind of refusing to buy Mortal Kombat 1. But that's super cool that I was able to get that as cheap as I did. And the game itself is fine. I haven't spent a whole lot of time playing it because once I got Part 6, it's like, what do I need that for? Yeah, that is pretty sweet. And I have it sitting on my shelf like it's a book. I thought it was pretty cool. Then we have South Park, The Stick of Truth. I have not played the sequel to this. I really need to because I played through this so quickly. I want to say it's a beginner's RPG. I'd consider that, or I'd compare this to Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. It's like a very easy to get into, like Super Mario RPG kind of thing. It's a beginner's RPG. I've said that before, and it kind of covers some of the ground of the cartoon. Although I have not kept up with the cartoon very much, I know the new game covers more ground of it. But here, it's like everybody is playing fantasy because of Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all that kind of stuff. And it's really, really funny. There are some attacks, like special attacks. You got like the one with, oh God, what's his name? Oh God, the guy, the dude in the leather suit. Oh God, what's his name? God, I can't remember. But he like, you sick him on somebody and he sits on their head and like you see him, just his body land on somebody's body, and then you just see him like slowly slip down them as he's like inserting them into his ass. He's going, oh, as he's doing it. I laughed so hard the first time I saw that happen. Like, you have no idea. Like, I had tears in my eyes. I cannot believe that this isn't a video game. That is awesome. Oh, it's not that I'm boycotting it. It's like it's been ruined for me. They put out so much material about this game that there are no surprises left. And it's like, don't show me all the fatalities, right? Like from every character. Don't show me all the brutalities or the secrets in the game. I want to find them myself. I want to see them for myself when I'm playing. They're ruining everything. Like if that whole Van Damme thing being in the game, I would have loved to have seen that firsthand, but no. They basically show you the entire game leading up to its release. I'm like, there's no surprises left. So I'm like, what do I need to play this for? Like, I've already seen it. I've seen everything the game has to offer. What do I need it for? I'll just wait until the complete collection with a K comes out and just buy that. So I'm just not going to buy it because I feel like I've played through the entire game multiple times just from the amount of stuff that's out there. They just ruined it. But this is a super fun RPG. Like I said, it is awesome. You go inside somebody's butt at the end and you're like searching around inside their sphincter. Ugh. I had a PS3 when this gen was new, and now I mostly play Xbox, so I wish 360 games or Blu-ray like PS3 games are. They hold so much better because they are hard to scratch. Yeah, they are. I will say, I don't think I've ever really had one that was like destroyed to the point where I couldn't actually play it, which is a good thing. This one I need to play. I remember I bought this because Metal Jesus talked about it in a video, and I guess it's like a first-person shooter RPG or something. But this is the premiere edition of Spec Ops: The Line, and I hear it's got a pretty like divisive story, I guess, or something. Because I know some people. I was watching, I think it was Reckless Eating stream this, or he talked about streaming this on either Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or something, and he was like, fuck that story. That story is so bullshit. Like, oh my god, you had to go there. Like, I haven't played it yet, so I couldn't comment, but it sounded really interesting and kind of a cool idea for a shooter, so I said, why the hell not? Includes the FUBAR pack. Okay. I'll play it eventually. This one I had... So I used to be, like, when I didn't have the finances that I have now. Like, I did not have a great paying job back when this console was the thing. I was really picky about the games I would buy, and if I bought something and didn't open it and started reading like reviews and everyone saying that it's garbage, I'll take it back. I would. Because I had to be. Like, I had to choose my games carefully. I usually pick bad ones. But one of the games that I took back was Spider-Man 3. I was a real big fan of the first two games based off of the Tobey Maguire movies. And naturally, you got part 3 coming out for the new console. What's not to be excited about? The prospect of playing that kind of game in HD, hell yeah. So I picked it up like day one. I reserved it at the GameStop down the street from my apartment. Went and picked it up on day one. Brought it home. Didn't play it right away. I remember like the next day at work, I was reading reviews of it on like GameSpot and IGN and all that. And they're all like, yeah, this game ain't great compared to the other ones. This one's not that great. So I was like, oh, so I think I'll just take it back and I'll buy it when it's discounted some point, so I can play it at some. I took it back and I never played it ever. Plus, I saw the movie and I did not like the movie at all. So that kind of had a hand in it too. And then they released like a special edition version of this, I think at the same time, which is the one that I did buy back then. But I never played it. I hear it is not as good, as well made as the first two games were, although it was made by Treyarch. But third-person action game, you get the symbiote suit and all that, ended up fighting Venom and all that, but was not a fan of the movie. And the game I hear was pretty bad, so like I said, I took it back. Here's another one of these compilations, but this is not a Sony exclusive, like one by Sony. This is just a trilogy of the older games because this franchise ended up continuing on the next-gen consoles, so they remastered the games that came out on the previous gen's consoles. That is the Splinter Cell trilogy remastered in high def. You have the original, then you have Pandora, Tomorrow, and Chaos Theory. I played the original. I was really excited about it too because Metal Gear Solid was like a huge thing back then, for me at least. I was like, yes, this game sounds amazing. It sounds like this upgraded version of Metal Gear. It's all about being sneaky and stealthy and all that. It sounds awesome. And then I played it and I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Got rid of it. But the franchise obviously continued for a reason, and it was still going in this generation. So I found this dirt cheap, I think at Disc Replay. So I picked it up. I think this was like $10 For 3 games, hell yeah. Third-person action stealth games. Yep. What's not to like? Spider-Man 3, the QuickTime event superhero game. Like I said, I still haven't played it. I still haven't been able to bring myself to play it. But the funny thing is, we did 2 videos together. I think it was the pickup video. So the pickup video that I did with Radical Reggie on my channel, we had like a Skype conversation that I recorded of us showing off pickups, and he was like really talking up Spider-Man 3 on the PS3. Like, it's the best movie in that franchise, and it's the best game. And I was just kind of like, I have heard otherwise. Star Ocean, The Last Hope. This is the international version. So I think originally the game was released on the 360, and that was just The Last Hope. And then when it got ported over to the PlayStation 3, I think it was like a timed exclusive or something. When it got ported over, we got like the version that they got overseas, which was like uncensored. But it's a science fiction RPG, and I've heard good things. I played a little bit of the one on the PlayStation 1 when it came out back in the day, and I enjoyed it. But like, keep on buying all these RPGs, but never can seem to find the time to play them. Best movie in the franchise. Press X to doubt. I probably would. This game I have played a lot, and I absolutely love it. I played the crap out of this back in the day when it first came out. This is back at my other apartment. This is like 2008 or whatever it was when this came out. 2007, 2008. But that's Star Wars The Force Unleashed. I have the Steelbook Ultimate Sith Edition. This is a sidequel to... Well, it takes place between episode 3 and 4. Turns out Vader had a secret apprentice that he was training to kill the Emperor so that he can take over, Vader could take over as the head of the Empire. And it goes wrong. Like, it turns out the guy remembers when Vader killed his dad back in the day so he could kidnap this kid because he saw that he had potential to be a great Sith. And the guy goes rogue, and it's pretty awesome. The combat in it, the force powers you can use, I had never been done in a game before the way they are in this. Like, you can pick up an X-Wing and then just like throw it at somebody. That's the kind of cool shit you can do. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And then like all the different saber colors you can unlock and costumes. This one has even more costumes. As you can see, you can get this really rad looking thing. But this one came with some extras. There's a whole bunch of these cards. So it's like this Sith Edition collector's cards or whatever. And I think this is the catalog that shows you what they all are. All the different characters in the game. Some are new, some are old. Yeah, Hoth Apprentice. That's the guy on the cover. That's a new thing. That's pretty cool. And look, boobs. Boobs. Oh, God. Darth Maul. Absolutely loved it. And then you get some cards with it that are embossed. And I got the Hoth Apprentice and the Emperor. Absolutely awesome. And then you get the manual. And the inside artwork on this is pretty cool, too. Let me take the disc out so you can see. You got some of the characters inside, which is rad. Absolutely love this game. I thought it was one of the best Star Wars games I had ever played at that point in time. Although my favorite is still Jedi Knight 2. What is it? Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. I think that's what it's called. The one where Kyle Katarn is using a lightsaber. The first one where he's using a lightsaber. It's the one before Jedi Academy. I think it's Jedi Knight. Oh, I can never remember. There's so many the names in that franchise are so weird. But this is an awesome game. And then you got part 2. And if you guys, I'm pretty sure you all remember the BS that this game went through where, was it LucasArts was releasing this? Yeah, LucasArts was telling, the developer, hey, we need to have this out by a certain date. We need that money. And the developers were like, well, we could have it out by that date, but the review score you're going to get with the version that will be ready by then will probably be about 60%. And the first game had an average of around 90%. If you give us more time, we can get it back up to that 90 and release that. And they're like, no, release the 60% version. So the game feels kind of unfinished. It's really short when compared to the first one. And the story just feels like it was going somewhere, and then it just kind of went like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not going to go there. It's just going to end right here. Just, nah. We'll eventually make a third one if this one sells, but and maybe fix it, maybe finish the story there. But no, we're just going to leave it here. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the game is fun. It's just as much fun as the first one. Some new powers you get and all that. You're playing as a clone of, oh dude, what's his name? Starkiller. You playing as a clone of him, and he's starting to get the memories back. And you do some rad stuff, but like I said, the story just feels unfocused. The game feels kind of unfinished at times, and it just ends. And it's kind of disappointing. But it could have been cool, but greed kind of killed it. And that's why this one underperformed, and we never got a third one. So, lesson not learned, because that still happens today. What's up, Man Boy Cave? Thanks for telling everyone to hit that. Smash that like button, bros. I did not care about this game until I saw Lightsaber Samurai. Funny, I just talked about the Star Wars games. Lightsaber Samurai talked about this, and I think it was one of his collection, like PS3 collection videos, and he said that it has a single player mode, which is really, really fun. And I was under the assumption this was an online game only, because the other game that has part of the name partially shares a name with this was an online only game, and I said the hell with that. So I assumed this one was going to be the same way. Turns out it isn't. And that's Starhawk. They released a remake of Warhawk, which I think is still a fantastic PlayStation 1 game. They released a remake of that, but it was online combat only. So when I saw this Starhawk thing, I was like, that's bullshit, same bullshit that Warhawk was. It's probably just all online. I'm not even going to bother even paying attention to anything about the game. I don't care. And then Lightsaber Samurai is like, no, it's got a really fun first person, like a single player mode, story mode. And I was like, oh. And he said the footage he showed was really cool. There's like crafting and building and stuff you have to do. And just looked rad as hell. So the next time I went out looking or in a place that sold games, I found a copy of it and I picked it up. And I think I got this for like $5. So not going to complain. Have not played it yet, though. I think Warhawk. It might be Warhawk. This I had back in the day, but I got stuck and I got rid of it, and I probably should have just held on to it because I'm a dum-dum. But this is Stranglehold. This is the collector's edition that you could only get on the PS3. This game also came out on the 360, but you cannot get this collector's edition. So what this is a game designed... Oh, it's John Woo helped to develop it, and it stars Chow Yun-Fat doing your typical Chow Yun-Fat stuff that you would see in a John Woo movie. And this actually comes with Hard Boiled on disc. Yep. Look on the back. It actually has Hard Boiled on the disc, but it's in DVD quality. They never released a Blu-ray of it back then. But it's a third-person action, like run-and-gun kind of thing, but you do all the John Woo-y slow-motion dual-wielding stuff that he's known for, and like spinning around with the two guns and doing the little, point-blank thing in somebody's face while they're got you point-blank too. All the tropes from John Woo are in here. And I liked it, but it got kind of tiresome, and then I got stuck. And I was like, the hell with this, and I got rid of it. Like back then, that was my answer. I was like, I get stuck in it. I don't feel like playing it anymore. You're gone. And I did that, and I probably should have just held on to it. Sad. But I ended up getting it again. I actually bought the 360 version, and then when I bought that, I was like, I brought it home, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, wasn't the version that I had for the PS3 originally like a collector's edition? And then I looked it up, and I was like, yep. So I immediately got rid of the 360 version and got that version instead. There was a collector's edition for 360? I could have sworn they never released that. Anyway, we have Street Fighter X Tekken. Street Fighter versus Tekken kind of game. I got this from Jason Corpse Flood. He was selling part of his collection. So I picked up, like I said last time, like $900 worth of games from the guy. And I'd always been curious about this one, like Tekken versus Street Fighter kind of stuff. They do Street Fighter versus Marvel and all that, Marvel versus Capcom. So this sounded kind of cool, even though I'm not a big fan of Tekken. So I would definitely love to play as the Street Fighter characters kicking the crap out of the Tekken characters that I do not like. So yeah, 1-on-1 fighting game. Yay. Guile versus Heihachi. Yes, please. That is so weird. I could have sworn there wasn't one, but okay, that's cool. I stand corrected. Honestly, every one of these streams I catch makes me sick. I never reach this level of collecting. It's a problem, though. It is a problem. Tekken versus Street Fighter. Here's an import. So I do have a couple of imports for the PS3 because, like I said, it is backwards compatible. I talked about one 2 weeks ago, and it was the Dungeons and Dragons collection. It had the 2 Dungeons and Dragons arcade beat 'em ups in it, and it only came out. It came out digitally over here. Japan got the physical edition, so I ordered it from Japan before the price shot up during COVID. Now it's like insanely expensive, if I remember right. The other one I got was digital. I bought the digital version of it over here because it sounded really cool, and I saw a couple of people streaming it or something back then, or watched video reviews of it, and I was like, that looks rad as hell. It looks way better than the one we got on the NES. So I picked it up once I found out that it was available, and that is Strider. This is the like remake that they did on the PS3, and it is fantastic. It's almost like an arcadey Metroidvania at times. But absolutely fantastic. I played the crap out of it. It has the first and second one on it, apparently. Because I see down here it says 1 and 2. Whatever. I don't care. I absolutely loved this version of it. I played the crap out of it. Never completed it, but I absolutely loved it. So had to get the physical version of that. You prefer the mechanics of Tekken? See, I hate Tekken. Hate it. The only character I like playing as is Eddie Gordo. And that's it. Oh, shit. How did you come loose? This generation had its Street Fighter 2 issue. You know, Street Fighter, you had Street Fighter 2, then you had Street Fighter 2, the Championship Edition, then you had the Special Edition, and then you had Turbo, and then you had Super Street Fighter 2, and then you had Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and they're constantly releasing that version of the game. Like, the new version of the game would come out, you'd end up having like 6 versions of the same game. They did the exact same thing with this generation and the last generation with the Street Fighter games that came out there. So when it came to Street Fighter 4, we eventually got Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. This is the last game that came out during this version, or for Street Fighter 4 upgrades or whatever. I bought the original version. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I didn't think they were actually going to keep on doing what they did back in the day. I thought they were past that, but apparently not. So there was like 6 versions of this released on the PS3 and the Xbox. So, yeah. Not sure what's different about each one since I only bought the original and this one, and I didn't play that much of the original. So I could not comment. But they did the same thing with Part 5. They released like that craptastic online-only version, and then they started releasing like different editions after that had the single-player mode. Now we have Syndicate. I originally had this on the 360, and I have been talking about being on the Super Enabler Brothers podcast with Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming, and we do the Backlog Roulette. This was one of the first games I got for the Backlog Roulette, but back then I had the 360 version, and for some reason, I would get to this one specific section of the game, and then the game would freeze. Like, it would just stop dead. And then I'd have to turn the Xbox 360 off, turn it back on, reboot my save, and it would freeze at the exact same moment every time. So there's something going on with the disc. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll just get it for the PS3 instead to see what happens. And this one seemed to work just fine. But it's a first-person shooter, but it's a cyberpunk first-person shooter. And you know me and my cyberpunk, I absolutely have to have it. And I loved this. It was super fun. The story's great. The different things you have to do, like the different mission styles that you get are really fun. And like I was going through this area where you're like in a train, like a subway train, like terminal. And I was just blowing the shit out of people left and right. It was just like hordes of people coming after me. And I was just like sliding along, blowing them up as I slid, kind of John Wooey stuff. Super, super fun. And then you can hack people and all that while you're doing it. It's really awesome. I love that franchise. I hope we get more Syndicate games, but I don't think we will. How many games do I have in this series? 3? Okay. Can't really talk much about these because they are RPGs and they're part of a long-running franchise, and I kind of want to get them all before I start playing them. It was banned in Australia. The reason was the chip extraction from particular enemies. Really? That's weird. I love it. It is super fun. So we got these Tales of games. So many games in this franchise. They started on the Super Famicom, I do believe. So you got Tales of Grace's F. The bonds of friendship are eternal. Have not played this one at all because, like I said, I want to get all the other ones in the franchise. I hear these are pretty good. We got Tales of Xillia. And it's kind of a rare thing when games in this series, like, they're not really connected. They're just part of the same world. That one of these actually gets a sequel. So there's Tales of Xillia 2. You don't see them very often. There's maybe 2 or 3 of them that have gotten sequels. So that's kind of cool. RPGs, haven't played them. JRPGs. Censorship sucks. Yeah, that's stupid. Why would you, of all the things, like a chip extraction? That's dumb. I bought this not too long ago. I want to say maybe during the winter. I bought it because Nintendo did like a pickup video. And he started doing videos again, guys. Go check out Nintendo. He's awesome. And he loves RPGs. And he was talking about, like, he found this one randomly. And it seemed pretty cool. And the way he was talking about it was like, I think I need to get that one too, even though I'll probably never be able to find time to play it. But I found a pretty cheap version of this, or a copy of this on eBay. And that is Tears to Tiara 2. What is the subtitle? Heir of the Overlord. So he starts talking about it at first. I'm like, oh, it's one of those RPGs where it's all about the boobs and the chicks in the hot pants and stuff like that. But apparently it is not. Unleash the demonic might of the Berserker. Berserker. But it looks like a pretty cool RPG. I'll eventually find some time to play it. Utter nonsense censorship. What about it was bad? I mean, did they say what was that? Like, was it violent? Was it gory? Was it graphic? Was it like the stupid nunchuck thing in England where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles their name had to be changed to Hero Turtles and you couldn't show nunchucks? Kind of stupid stuff. Speaking of which, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Danger of the Ooze. I think this is based off of one of the Nickelodeon cartoons that was going on at the time. And this one is beat 'em up, I assume? I have not played this one. I have so many Turtles games now, it's kind of insane. But the pictures on the back show absolutely zilch. One of them is just a character, like one of the turtles standing there, and the other one is a motorcycle. Way to sell somebody on your game there, Activision. Yeah, buttheads. We're talking Tekken. Just because I'm not a big fan of Tekken doesn't mean I'm not going to buy Tekken games. I actually have a couple here. Tekken 6. What is it? Tekken 7 is the one that has the cat girl in it that everyone like had a conniption fit about at some point. The girl that had like the big headphones on and the cat ears and the tail or whatever. I'm not really like a fan of Tekken because I don't like the technical aspect of it and how it's like all about countering and stuff like that and the timing of things. I'm like, I just want to beat people up. You know, that's why I like Mortal Kombat. But doesn't mean that every once in a while I'm going to want to sit down and play something a little bit different in the fighting genre. And Tekken definitely scratches that itch when it arises. And also have Tekken Hybrid, which has Tekken Blood Vengeance in 3D, as well as Tekken Tag HD or Tekken Tag Tournament HD and Tekken Tag Tournament 2 HD. So it's like a compilation of HD versions of older Tekken games. So that's kind of cool. Play the games, watch the movie. The movie's on here? That's funny. Oh, is that what the Tekken Blood Vengeance 3D is? Oh, so the movie's in 3D. I got a 3D movie I didn't know I had. Oh! Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it. Yeah, I know, right? Official line, the game had defiling a dead body for non-consequential personal gain. What about looting dead people in, like, Borderlands or any RPG ever? So if the gain was consequential, would it be okay? But in Australia, we can have ninjas all day. That's funny. Why ninjas were like a bad thing in like the 80s and 90s in England, I have no idea. Like, you couldn't show headbutting in movies because that was considered dirty fighting. You couldn't show somebody getting kicked in the balls. Nunchucks were not allowed. Like you could get arrested on the street if they saw you with nunchucks or something like that. And the word ninja was like not cool, so they would always change it to something else. That is so dumb. So dumb. I remember Star Wars Episode 2, was it the Attack of the Clones? That fight scene in the rain between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett, where Jango Fett like headbutts Obi-Wan right in the face with his helmet, got cut out of the British version of the movie because that's dirty fighting. Okay. But it's okay to call every woman the C word in England in the British movies. That's okay. Anyway, we move on. What's up, J Chip? Super strict knife laws too. I don't get it. I really don't. Next up, we have Terminator Salvation. You know me and my license games, but this is a license that, this movie, I do not like this movie. I like all the Terminator movies for different reasons. Even like, Genesis and Dark Fate. I like them for all different reasons. This is the one where I'm like, I can't get with it. I do not like the aesthetic of it. Kind of forgot that all those movies took place they show the future where the robots have taken over and it's like the wasteland. That they all like there is no daytime, it's all nighttime all the time, and this one the whole movie takes place in the day, and like they ruin the surprise of who the lead character is in the trailers and all that kind of stuff. But whatever. This is a third-person cover-based shooter that is just an adaptation of the movie with some extra content thrown in there to pad the runtime of the game. And I only bought this because licensed game. Don't expect to like it, just like I don't like the movie. If it had some sort of downside to it, it would be fine. Like in Saints Row 4, alien drugs is fine because you become addicted to them and they make you weak afterwards. The Salvation arcade game, yes, the arcade game is fun. But Splatterhouse is okay, no cuts. See? Yeah, the Terminator Salvation arcade game, the light gun game, super fun. All those light gun games that came out around that time. There was the Alien one. The Terminator one, there was the Transformers one. They're all super fun. Why can't we get light gun games like that? God damn. On home consoles, I mean. It's kind of like stopped in mid idea. Another licensed game, we have Thor, God of Thunder. I think I started it off in the original episode 2 weeks ago, where I was saying that the PlayStation 3 is my console for the MCU games. They're available on the Wii. I think there are some of them available on the Wii and the Xbox 360, but I decided to go for the PS3 for them. This one is, I honestly think, one of the better ones. I kind of like Captain America is probably my favorite, but this is probably my second favorite. But it's just to beat him up with Thor. You get your lightning powers and all that. It's like a copy of God of War. That's probably why they put God of Thunder on the title and maybe confuse people into buying it. But this one's pretty fun. I like this one quite a bit. Features the voices of Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. And once you say Tom Hiddleston, all the women come out of the woodwork and go, "Arr!" I remember I saw a sneak preview of that Guillermo del Toro movie. Which one was it? Not Crimson River. Damn, the one about the haunted house. The Crimson... what is it called? I didn't like it. How about that? Crimson... Derpity derp derp. Crimson Peak. Del Toro movie. And it stars Tom Hiddleston as one of the leads. And I won tickets to see a sneak preview of it like a month before it came out. And we had to fill out like a questionnaire afterwards, like what were the things we liked about it, what were the things we didn't like about it, because I think they wanted to do some final tweaking to the movie before it hit mainstream, and maybe have people start spreading the word about it to get people to see it when it came out. It didn't work. And the moment Tom Hiddleston walked on screen for the first time, there was a row of soccer moms sitting right behind me, and in unison, they all went, "He is fine!" And I went, and pretty much I was. Didn't end up liking the movie, though, like at all. I was like, wow, this is like a greatest hits of other better Guillermo del Toro movies. He even stole the design of his ghosts from the one about the orphanage. God, I can't remember names of movies tonight. I own a copy of it in the next room. God damn it. Shit. Don't want the kid that's head is bleeding. Whatever. Not important. Anyway, another RPG I found at GameStop of all places. Time and Eternity. And this was dirt cheap, which is why I picked it up. Finding I think I said it last week, that if I ever see an RPG from NIS America, Atlas, or Axis, I pick it up if I see it cheap, because there's no guarantee that it's not going to be expensive 6 months down the line when I actually do want to buy a copy of it. So I usually, if I see them cheap, I just buy them to have them on hand in case I want to play them. But I have not played this. I bought it years ago, probably 2018, but I have not played it yet. But it looks pretty rad, honestly. Not going to lie. It looks very cartoony. Kind of looks like, what is it, Ni no Kuni a little bit, and like the art-wise. That's kind of cool. A new class of high-def animation RPG. It looks kind of rad. I might have to set that one aside and put some time into it. Oh, I'm definitely doing movie collection once I'm done with all the games. And I just realized today that I've been doing these streams, this new revamp, oh, God, I can't talk. Long-ass day, tired as all hell, haven't had much to eat. I probably should go and get something to drink real quick so I can lubricate the throat. I've been doing these new streams, like the new version of it, for a year now. I've been doing this every Thursday for a year. God damn. That shows you, like, I think I didn't even get to a year. I was actually talking about more games per episode back then when I did the first version of this. So the streams were longer. The streams were like 4 hours long, and these are only like an hour and a half because I break them up more. So obviously we're going to have more episodes, and I've added more to the collection since then. So yeah, they're going to be going on for a little while longer, and then I'm definitely going to go into my movie collection. And then after that, I was thinking about doing one about my Tron memorabilia collection, because I have a lot of that in the other room as well. I'm going to take a quick break and grab something to drink. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Yeah, I did movie collections on the first version of these streams that I did years ago. Definitely going to do it again. Now I have a huge 4K collection. It probably makes sense, but I love talking about. I can probably talk more about movies than video games. With these, these take multiple hours to play through in order to have just an idea of how to discuss them and talk about like what's good and bad about them. Movie, you got an hour and a half, so I can definitely talk more about those than video games. So let's get back into it. Next up, we have Time Crisis Blazing Storm, and it also includes Time Crisis 4 and Deathstorm. I think it says Deathstorm Pirates. This is why I stopped drinking soda all those years ago. I'll do nothing but belch. So you're going to be hearing a lot of that shit. Like I said, I love light gun games. Can't play them, at least the older ones, because don't have a CRT that they will work on. And I don't have room for one either. Now that I've got these 2 arcade 1-ups, I got one here and one in the other room, I have no place to put a CRT even if I wanted one. I have to get a bigger place. So this is how I play them. And the fact that this is move enabled is amazing. And I love Time Crisis. When I went to Mo Game Con with Captain Algebra and Do You Nerd and all them, 8-Bit Glitch and Peter Bateman, Waves and Games. I wish Peter was here. We went to Two Plumbers Arcade and Brewery Friday night, and they had Time Crisis 2, the arcade game, and I played the crap out of that because I love my light gun games. So hells to the yeah. And to get 2 extra games alongside it, that's amazing. So that's a pretty good deal. That's a hell of a deal. I had this back in the day, I think for the 360, and I got rid of it because another game where I kind of got stuck and I was like, the hell with this game. Time Shift. This is a first-person shooter, but if I remember correctly, because I haven't played this since probably 2007 or 8 or whatever it was, but it's not like time travel. It's like you have the ability to like slow time and slightly rewind it if you screw something up and redo it over and over again if you have to. And I thought it was okay, and it was a really cool idea at first, but I got stuck in some area, and I don't know if it was because I didn't have any health, and it kind of got an auto-save at a specific area, and I just could not progress, or whatever it was, but I got stuck, and I was like, the hell with it, and I got rid of it. But naturally get back into collecting. I'm like, oh, I remember having that game. I'll buy it again. I haven't played it again. I need a bigger house. Yeah, I would definitely buy that if I had space for it, just so I could play like the actual one with the pedal and everything. Hell yeah. Another collection, another compilation. Oh, yeah. We got the Tomb Raider trilogy. Not that big of a fan of Tomb Raider Anniversary. It's basically a remake of the original Tomb Raider game on the PS1. Even though it looks better, it doesn't play any better. It's still kind of clunky and goofy, and the platforming is imprecise and all that. But when it comes to Tomb Raider Legend, I almost called it Legacy. When it comes to Legend and Underworld, those games were the ones that got me back into this franchise, especially Legacy. Or I called it Legacy again, Legend. So I thought the first Tomb Raider was pretty good. Absolutely loved Tomb Raider 2 on the PS1. I was so good. And then part 3, I was maybe like a day. I was maybe like 3 or 4 hours into the game, and I was like, I think I'm starting to lose this series is starting to like lose its luster. Like it's starting to feel very samey and kind of thrown together just to have it out within a year of the last one to keep like the hype going. And I was like, yeah. And then a 4th one came out, and then a 5th one came out. Didn't buy either of those. And then Angel of Darkness came out and killed the franchise dead because it was so horrible. Never played the last 3 before Legend came out. Legend came out. I still wasn't interested. I bought an Xbox magazine or something, and it had a demo in there of Legend. I was like, well, I'll play the demo. I'll give it a shot. And I played that demo over and over and over again. I'm like, wow, everything that I didn't like about the way the PlayStation 1 era ones, worked, they definitely fixed in this one. And the plot is better, and the graphics are better, and it's fun. So I was like, yeah, when that comes out, I'll definitely buy it. Man, I played through that thing twice in a row. Like I beat it and started over again because I had so much fun. And I even was sitting there going like, man, if I can get to film school and, get some attention somehow, I definitely lobby to make a movie based on Legend because I love the story of that one. And then Underworld kind of continues it but takes it in a little bit different direction because the Legend is all about Arthurian myths and stuff like that. It is fantastic. And kind of revamped the way the game played. It was a little bit more cinematic. There was more to do. You have like this hook shot thing that you can use for puzzles to like grab things and pull them down and all that. Super, super fun. And Underground I never actually completed, but I really, really did like it. I just never I'm assuming it's still the whole like, oh, shiny thing. I'm just stopped playing it. But absolutely love Legend. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And I've played through it again on this compilation. Bought these so I could do a video with Captain Foley from Trek Yards. I had contacted Captain Foley from Trek Yards and his co-host Commander Cockings. So it's Stuart and I can't remember what his co-host's first name is. Sam? No. Samuel. So Stuart and Samuel. I contacted them because I wanted to do like a best Star Trek games and worst Star Trek games collaboration video. And like I've been watching them, and every once in a while they would talk about like Star Trek video games on the channel. So I'm like, hey, can we do like this thing together? I love your channel. I love your personalities. I think we'd mesh pretty well. Can we do something for my channel? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. And Stuart and I really hit it off, like really. And I forgot that I have left that comment up there. I accidentally hit it when I was getting my drink. I keep forgetting that I have the ability to do that. I'm going to put that one up. So I was at Gen Con probably a year later, and I get this like message over Facebook from Stuart saying like, hey, I'd love to do another video with you, just you and me. Could we do a video about Transformers games? And I was like, absolutely love to, but I'm kind of on vacation. Leave me alone. So he wanted to do a video all about Transformers games, like our favorites and our least favorites. I only had, I think at the time, like 3 or 4 games that were Transformers related. So I ended up like buying a whole bunch so I could play through them real quickly to see if there's anything that I would say is my favorite or least favorite. So I bought all the ones based on the first 3 Michael Bay Transformers movies. These are okay. They're not great. I had the first one back in the day when it first came out for the PS3. Played it a little bit. I thought it was pretty fun. But I never had the ones for Revenge of the Fallen or Dark of the Moon. But I will admit, even though a lot of people absolutely hate them, I do enjoy some of the Michael Bay movies. I really like the first one. I hate the second one. I love the third one because of the way it was shot in Chicago. Like half that movie was shot in Chicago, and I watched it happen. I remember I came home from work one day, and from my balcony, like I have an exterior staircase. From the top of that staircase to get to my front door, you could see the Sears Tower, or the Willis Tower. And I came home from work. I'm getting to my front door. I'm looking for my key, and all of a sudden I hear like this pop, 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 pop coming from behind me, like real faint in the distance. And I'm like, that fireworks? And I turn around and I look at the Sears Tower, and I see a bunch of helicopters flying around it and a bunch of things falling out of one of them. I'm like, what the hell is going on over there? What are they doing? They were filming the scene where the helicopter got destroyed by, I think it was Starscream that was going around Sears Tower, and then all the parajumpers fell out of it, and they ended up doing that like squirrel suit scene after that. And I was like, okay. And I saw the movie, and I was like, that's what I saw them filming from my backyard. That's awesome. Anyway, back to the games. They're third-person action games. You get to play as either the Decepticons or the Autobots, depending on what's going on. You can change at will. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but they are entertaining. They could have been at least this one could have been a hell of a lot better. But it does feel like it was rushed to meet like a deadline to meet when the release date of the film. But I've never actually played Revenge of the Fallen or Dark of the Moon because I played through a little bit more of this when it showed up again, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to be talking about this in the video. I had already found my favorites and my least favorite to talk about, and these never got included in the video. Next up, I got this pretty recently, I want to say. I don't remember where. I don't remember what kind of game this is. 2 heroes, 2 stories. Is it a one-on-one fighting game? I think so. Trinity Universe. So it's one of those NIS games. Like you find it when it's cheap and you buy it because you never know when it's going to jump up in price randomly. And I got this for like $20 or something. I don't remember where I got this from. I don't remember what kind of game it is. Like this complete. I got this recently too, I think. Did I get this at Mo Game Con? I honestly don't remember. I'm drawing a complete blank. Then again, if you saw my pickup video for Mo Game Con, you know that I bought a shitload of stuff, so it'd be easy for something to get lost in the cracks. This one, on the other hand, hell yeah. Download your exclusive content. I think this is expired. Yes, it is. Boo! Anyway, so when this game came out in 2010, it's based on a movie, because duh. And one of my favorite things of all time, you probably already can figure out where we're at in the alphabet and what I'm going to be talking about. I remember I got out of work. I went straight to the Best Buy by where I live. looking for the PlayStation 3 version of this game, this special edition version specifically. Did not have it. All they had was the 360 version. No, I'll take that back. I went to the GameStop. All they had was a 360 version and not the special edition at all for either console. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Went to the local Best Buy, same exact thing. Like, for some reason, the PlayStation 3 version of this game sold out immediately, first day, and everyone just had the 360 version. And I ended up calling a couple of the places while I was at the Best Buy, asking if they had the PlayStation 3 version, and nobody did. So I just said, the hell with it. I guess I'm not getting that collector's edition version that I want. I'll just buy the 360 version because I just want to play this game. And I beat it in like 3 days. I played through it so quickly because of what it is. And it's Tron Evolution. This came out not too long after Tron Legacy came out. Tron Legacy blew my freaking mind. I was like excited about it, but I was also kind of like, I don't know if a Tron movie would work in this day and age. And holy crap, did it. Absolutely loved it. I ended up seeing it like 6 times in the theater. A bunch of times in 3D. Some of the best 3D in the theater that I ever saw. On 3D Blu-ray, not so much. I don't know what they did, but they screwed up the 3D at home. So I played through it, and I never really played through it again. I ended up getting the PSP version, ended up getting the version of it on the Nintendo DS when I got back into collecting, the Wii version, which sucks. But it's a good game. It's fun. It's a third-person action game that takes place between... before the start of Legacy, but after Clue had taken over the grid from the film. So it's between the first 2 movies, but it actually takes place in this window that's probably like 10 years, I want to say, of what would take place in the movie. Like it starts 10 years before Legacy. And it's all about like right after Flynn gets trapped in the grid, and he creates this warrior program called Anon to like find out what's going on, like get reconnaissance about what Clue's up to and all that. And you run across a lot of the characters from the movie, like Quora and Zeus and Tron and all that. And it's pretty cool. It could have been better. It has some light cycle racing segments, but for some reason they're all in a straight line. There's no real racing. It's just kind of like, oh look, I need to get out of the end of line club from the movie, that one that's on that huge ass tower. So you end up racing down the tower because it's like, this big pillar, and you're basically just driving down in a straight line and there's nothing in your way. Yay. But ended up getting rid of that because about a year ago, I want to say it was maybe a year ago, I ended up getting that collector's edition for the PS3. And behold, it has move capabilities. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm definitely itching to find out. And what does this collector's edition come with outside of the game? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me open this bad boy up. Come on. Come on. You can do it. I know you can do it. Come on. There we go. So it comes in this other box. There's a box within the box. Boxception. And I get a free ticket to see Tron Legacy in the theater. I don't know. I think it's still work. But the big thing is that I wanted this for, because I collect Tron and Tron Legacy memorabilia. I basically have a Tron shrine in the other room. But I wanted to have this for the collection, even though I don't really display it. I just display the outer box. God damn it. Go this way? Yeah, this way. Damn it. Sorry this is taking so long, everybody. I put this back in the box in a really weird state. I think that's how it goes. Yeah, there we go. It comes with this like displayable light cycle that like the blue version that Anon uses in the game. And I really did not have the desire to like have to constantly clean this damn thing from the dust and everything. So I just left it inside the box where I don't have to. But the box is really cool because it's got that like metallic paint on it that kind of reflects light. So I'm like, that's good enough for me. That's pretty awesome that it comes with that. So I'm just going to leave that out because I'm not putting that back on camera. I wasted too much time taking it out to begin with. A derp. So I'm just going to let you sit there until the stream is over. I hope you like it. Put you on the floor. There we go. But the game is pretty cool. Okay, give it that. All right, and then we have Turning Point, Fall of Liberty. I got this, I think, for $1 somewhere. Because I don't think I would have bought it otherwise. But it is an online World War II, like, alternate reality, like World War II, like what if the Nazis won kind of thing. Battle an unstoppable Axis army, fight the occupation, use the surroundings. We lost World War II, now start a new one. Make a difference as an American resistance hero. So it's like a third-person... No, it's a first-person shooter. It looks really cheap. Codemasters, like, it does not look like it is the best game. But like I said, I think I got this for like $1, so I didn't really care. And now we're on to the last stack, everybody. Everybody. One of my favorites. Not a lot of people talk about this one. Everybody wants to talk about Twisted Metal Black, Twisted Metal 2. But I think the Twisted Metal that came out on the PS3 is pretty damn cool. It's not as good as Black or Twisted Metal 2 or the original for that matter, but it is a pretty awesome Twisted Metal game. Don't get me wrong. I played the shit out of this when it came out. I absolutely love airplane, vehicular combat games, which Twisted Metal started. So absolutely had to pick this when it came out, or pick this up when it came out. I'm starting to get tired. I'm starting to forget words. Oh, God, it's going downhill. Luckily, we're in the last stack. Absolutely love it. It's not my favorite, though, like I said, but it does scratch that itch, and I wish we would get... This is the last one we've gotten. I really wish we got another one for the new console. Can you imagine a Twisted Metal game on the PS5? That would be amazing. It's more of the same, but upgraded graphically, obviously. And you have local multiplayer as well as online multiplayer. And how many people can you play against online? 16? Can you imagine a 16-person match online of that? Hells yes. It needs a major comeback. I hear this. I saw the first episode of the TV show, and I really liked it. I just didn't want to have to pay for Peacock to finish it. So I don't think I need to talk too much about these. Because I absolutely love these games. I've talked about them to death on my channel, and that is the Uncharted games. I absolutely love, like, when Uncharted Drake's Fortune came out, I wasn't immediately interested. I was just kind of like, it looks like a modern-day Indiana Jones kind of thing. Whatever. And then for Christmas that year, one of my friends bought it for me as my Christmas gift. I think it had just gotten a slight discount, so he didn't pay, like, the $60, the full $60. And he bought it for me, and I was like, okay, well, this is my new game that I get for the holidays. I'm like, okay. And I played through it so quickly. Even though I had, like, one part, every time I've played through this PlayStation 3 version, there was one part, every time I get to it, the system crashes. It's when, like, you first start getting chased by, like, those zombie monstery things from the underground, and you're, like, running towards the camera, and they're all coming up behind you. You start running towards the camera, and then the whole system just stops. It like freezes up and crashes the game. It happens every time I play it. For some reason, that just does it on the first try. That crashes the system. But it's a really fun game. It might not hold up. I haven't played it in a while. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I got so sick of it at the end." I like the characters a lot. I especially liked Elena. I thought she was a really cool non-damsel in distress female heroine. I thought she was great. Like, Nathan Drake is very likable. So is Sully. I liked it a lot. The platforming was great. The story was great. The gameplay is great. I loved it. But nothing prepared me for part 2. This one, like, it had me, like, it basically brought me to tears at one point. Like I said, I really like Elena as a character. And then, like, her fate is like, you think that one thing is happening, and I was like, no! And I turned the game off. I'm like, no, you cannot do this to me. Like, no! I was so attached to her, all the characters. And then when they basically make you think that she's dead, I was like, no! I literally like was crying, not like, but I was like, oh, and like I had like little tears. I was like, no, that's the first time I think I had like gotten so attached to a video game, like a group of video game characters, that I was like legit upset when like their fate is on the line. And I was like, God damn. And then all of a sudden she shows back up. I'm like, you sons of bitches toying with my emotions like this. Super awesome game. This one just ups the ante. The gameplay, everything was improved. Everything. And this one has multiplayer too, which is kind of fantastic. I never actually played it, but fantastic game. Absolutely love it. And then there was part 3, which didn't really do it for me. I don't know what it was. It felt like, I mean, it starts off kind of cool. Like the way this one starts off with the whole train thing. Oh my God. You want to talk about just throwing you into it? This one tries to do it too, but I think it kind of failed a little bit. And then I think anything that stuck to that landing, like the ending just feels really syrupy and convenient to me. And I didn't really buy it. So like this one didn't really have the effect on me that the first 2 did. So I was kind of like, if this is the last game, they kind of run out on a whimper. Don't get me wrong, I had fun playing it. I played through it like within the space of like 4 days, but like it didn't quite have the impact on me that the first 2 had. But not to say it's a bad game, it's just my least favorite of the trilogy. And then part 4 happened, and I was like, don't make gifts of my O face, please. Yep, same thing. Yep. Especially the second one. Holy shit. The second Last of Us, the end of that game, I'm like, you are not making me do this. I will not do this. I will not make these 2 characters fight. I will not do this. You cannot make me do this. I guess I'm doing this. I bought this because of Pete Dorr. This is Under Defeat HD, the deluxe edition. I guess this is a game that came out on the Dreamcast originally in Japan. We never got it over here. It's a vertically scrolling shmup. But you play as a helicopter. And the thing is, it's not like one where you obviously do slide back and forth and you can move around the screen, but you're not shooting straight forward. You're shooting at an angle. And you can only shoot like at a 45-degree angle. And then if you shift, you shoot in the other direction 45 degrees. So there's like this weird kind of strategy thing you have to do about like how you're going to aim and take bad guys out when they're coming at you. And there's things on the ground shooting at you as well. So it kind of has like a little bit of extra going on for a shmup. It's pretty great. It's hard as hell, though, I will admit. I did have a little bit of issue trying to get used to the fact that I couldn't shoot straight ahead, that you're only shooting like in these angles. But it's pretty rad the way it works. I like it a lot. It's different, and that goes a long way with me. And this deluxe edition has all the DLC that's available for it built into it and the patches, and has a soundtrack CD. So it's got 2 discs. There's the soundtrack, and there's the game itself. Pretty cool. I'm glad that I picked that up early on in my collecting because I think that is kind of expensive now. I bought this one because of Radical Reggie. I don't know if he talked about it in a video. This is one of the ones where he texted me about it. Like he sent me a message through Facebook Messenger saying like, "Hey, I know you love your fighting games because we did 2 streams together. One was a pickup video, and the other one was talking about like our favorite fighting games." And he obviously knows that I love my one-on-one fighting games. So I think he messaged me through Facebook saying like, you need to pick this one up. It's available at GameStop. So like I ended up going online and looking at all the GameStops in the area, and nobody had it except one that's right by my work. So I come home from work that day, went on my computer, looked up where they had a copy of this available. Turns out I had to go back to work to go and pick this up at the GameStop out there. Luckily, they held it for me when I called them. I was like, I hear you got a copy in box of this Under Night in Birth EXE Late. Stupid-ass name. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, can you hold it for me? I'll be there in about like an hour to pick it up because I had to drive through freaking traffic to get there just to pick this thing up. Luckily, it was not super expensive. But yeah, one-on-one fighting game. It's very anime-esque. Reminds me a little bit of like a Guilty Gear game, which is pretty cool, or a Blaze Blue. But all the characters are like, it's kind of like darker than your average. It's kind of horror themed, I guess. Not Darkstalkers-esque, but a little bit like that. And then how many? Oh, I thought I had more than this. I think there's another one in this franchise, but whatever. Here's another launch game for the PS3, and that is Untold Legends Dark Kingdom. And this is a 3D beat 'em up, I guess, like God of War. One of the games I never had when I first had my my PS3 back when it first came out. I didn't get this one until I got back into collecting, so I've never actually played this back then, so I have no nostalgia for it. The ultimate next-gen action RPG experience. Epic storyline, next-gen HD graphics, co-op and internet modes, all new action RPG combats. Unique physics-based gameplay. Takes hack and slash to an all-new level. I'll take your word for it. Haven't actually sat down to play it yet, but I do believe one of the games for this in this series on the PSP as well. It looks pretty cool. I should play through it, even though it's probably going to be dated as all hell. Bought this one because it's a Sega game, and I was doing that whole Sega thing, and then I guess this kind of jumped up in price, and there's a remake of it, I do believe out. I think I have the remake. But Valkyria Chronicles. This is the strategy tactical RPG. And I watched Nintendo stream this a little bit once on Twitch, and it looked really, really fun. I'm like, I'm glad I own that. But he was playing the remastered version of it, I do believe. So I need to play through these because this looked really, really fun. Until Legends on PSP was mad fun. I remember the PS3 one didn't make the trees disappear when you walk under them, causing many deaths. That's odd. So this game is considered the first version of this game came out on the 360, and I did own a copy of that. I rented it originally from this like 24-hour video store that was by my old apartment in the burbs, and it was like, wow, this is pretty terrible. But it was like a third-person action stealth horror game, and just the idea of it really like intrigued me, but it wasn't pulled off very well, and it was really janky and like really cheap. Like it looked cheap. So I never actually bought a copy until I got back into collecting. I ended up going to the half-price books by my work, and they had a sealed copy of it for $1. And I was like, a sealed copy for $1? I don't give a crap if it's the worst game ever made. I'm buying it. Never actually opened it, though. And then I found this version of it, and it turns out this is like an upgraded version of the game that came out for the 360 that's been optimized for the PS3, and it has some extra bells and whistles. So I got rid of that version, and I was actually able to make a profit on that because it was still sealed. And that is Vampire Reign Altered Species. So it is a third-person stealth horror game where you play as like these soldiers who are like trying to take out the vampires that are attempting to take over the world, and it is just jank as all hell. It barely plays well. Like they'll be walking, and all of a sudden, like frame rate, blah 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 blah. It's pretty bad, and they say that they like enhanced it for the PS3. I seriously doubt it. But like I said, when it comes to that ride to redemption, I love bad movies. B movies. I definitely like B movie or B games. These ones that are just like terrible B movies in video game form. So I was not going to pass this up, and I got it for a pretty good deal too. Because this one, I guess, is a little harder to come by, especially with this poster included. So I got kind of a deal on it, so I was not going to pass it up, even though it's a pretty awful game. It's beyond me. Yeah, it is not good. Like, I fully admit when I rented it, I was like, I'm never buying this crap. Nah. But like I said, for $1 still sealed, sure. This is the third import that I have. And that is Vampire Resurrection. This is Darkstalkers. In Japan, it's not called Darkstalkers. I think it's called Vampire Chronicles or something. Or Vampire Savior. Vampire Hunter and Vampire Savior. That's what's on here. Vampire Hunter and Vampire Savior. So it's Darkstalkers 2 and 3 on the same disc. And I love Darkstalkers. I love like on my first-person shooter games. And you got like basically horror Street Fighter 2 here. You got Frankenstein, Dracula, a succubus, a mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon guy. It's pretty awesome. And then you add in the ghost, the vampire hunter guy with the beads, and the little girl with the ghost and all that in the second game. Yeah, it's awesome. I absolutely love Darkstalkers as a series. So I had to pick this one up. And I got it pretty cheap too off of eBay. This one got a remaster on the PS4. I think there was 2 games on the disc that had the remaster, but Vanquish. This is one of the games that I rented from the library by my work when I found out that they had video games to rent. I was like, okay, and they're free? Sure, I'll take some home. And I played it. It's really fun, but it's straight. Who did this one? Is this? Yeah, it's Platinum Games. It makes sense. So it's like a third person, like run and gun. God, I got the hiccups now. God, thanks, Dr. Pepper. Shit. It's a 3D run and gun, but the thing is, you've got like this whole mechanic with you sliding all the time. Like you run and then you do like a hip slide and you shoot at people and you kind of slow down while you're doing it. It's fun. I like it. I didn't think it's nearly as good as like a lot of people. I never thought this would have gotten a remaster. Like of all the games to pick as a remaster, Vanquish, sure, it's fun and all, but there's way better games out there to get a remaster. And then I picked this one up because it was dirt cheap at that disc replay, and that is Venetica. I have not played this one. I think the one I'm thinking of is a totally different game. This one is like a stealth thievery game, if I remember correctly. Only the truly worthy can journey to death itself and back again. Because I don't think this is the game I'm thinking of. Oh god, there was one that was kind of like an open world game, but it took place during like World War One, and it was kind of it was like stealth kind of. I don't remember what the name of that game was. I keep on thinking that this is it every time I look at it, but I know I have not played this. When I look at the back, I'm like, no, this is not the one I've played. This is like a fantasy game. But I've got it dirt cheap, I remember. That's why it's in the collection. And then we've got the Virtua Fighter 5. This is a franchise I've never really kept up with. I remember like part 1 and 2, I absolutely loved in the arcade. Like I was always playing, if I wasn't playing Mortal Kombat 1 or 2 or Street Fighter 2 or whatever, I was usually playing the first Virtua Fighter. Then part 2 I thought was fantastic, way better than the first. Super awesome. But like after that, like I just didn't pay attention to the franchise anymore. Yeah, when I got my Saturn, it came with a copy of Virtua Fighter, and I played it for a little while. I was like, this is old news. You know, that does not look good anymore. So, like, I just kind of like lost interest in the franchise. So I've ended up finding this at Half Price Books for like $5, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll pick it up, and I still have not played this. Like, I have not played a Virtua Fighter game since part 2. Like, actually, like intentionally played one, and I think they're on part 6 or something now. Gives you Blood Rain vibes. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like. I always think it's a totally different game. The Saboteur. That's the one I keep on thinking that is. Saboteur. Next up, we have Wanted, Weapons of Fate. This is a licensed game based off the Wanted movie that had James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman in it. Morgan Freeman has one of my favorite lines of all time in that movie. Kill this motherfucker right here. I love that. The movie, a lot of my friends hate it. I think it's a fun time. But a lot of people don't realize it's based on a comic book by Mark Millar. And it is nothing like the comic book. The comic book is all about superheroes and supervillains. Turns out the main character is the son of the world's greatest supervillain, and he has all these abilities that he doesn't realize he has, which is the whole bullet time curving the bullet thing. It's really fun. The comic book is cool. I think I like the way the movie simplified things more. This is more based off of the comic book because that is the outfit that the character wears. You know, James the McAvoy character wears in the comic book. And you get to curve the bullets and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really fun third-person action game that has some really cool mechanics. It could have been better because this was released at time. You know, it had a release timed up to go along with the movie. And obviously it does feel rushed and all that. But it's entertaining for what it is. Kill this motherfucker right here. I don't think I've ever heard Morgan Freeman curse like that in a movie before. At least not that I can remember. Here's another third-person action game that's Wet. Are you? I played this one quite a bit. I never actually beat it. But it's like an assassin game. You play as this female assassin that uses guns and swords and is voiced by Eliza Dushku, who played Faith on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Had a huge crush on her back in the day when Buffy was on. And it's really cool. It's like a Robert Rodriguez movie. It's just nothing but crazy action and stuff. And you can do all these weird acrobatic things too. I like it a lot. I need to sit down and play through because I played maybe a quarter of the way through it. And then shiny over here. stopped playing it. I need to sit down and play it again. I got this one at Gen Con at a GameStop. I remember this was the year that I didn't find out. Like, there's 2 years that I went to Gen Con, like when I was in video game collecting. And the first year I found a whole bunch of stuff. Second year I didn't find a whole lot until I went to the GameStop in the mall connected to the convention center, which is where I picked up White Knight Chronicles 2. And this is, I do believe, an RPG or an action RPG of some type. And I have not played it. But the reason I wanted to get this was because it comes with the first White Knight Chronicles as a bonus. So it's 2 games in one. And I really didn't know anything about the first game. So when I saw part 2, I was like, I've never heard of the first one. Oh, this comes with the first one too? Score! So I picked it up. You really can't see much about what the game is. It looks like an action RPG, maybe. So we shall see. And I had to get these because I hear they're actually pretty fun, even though I don't watch this kind of stuff. I haven't watched this kind of stuff since I was in the 3rd grade. But that's wrestling. We got WWE All-Stars and WWE Legends of WrestleMania. This one is probably the one that I wanted to play the most. This one is like super arcadey and cartoony, which appeals to me because I really like the WWF arcade game that came out around the same time as Mortal Kombat 2, or Mortal Kombat 1, sorry. So like it kind of appeals to me. It looks like a fun little arcadey wrestling game that's really fast-paced. But this one I thought would be kind of cool because it has like wrestlers from like every era of WWE. Like you got like the modern day stuff when this came out. You got The Rock and Stone Cold. But you also got Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan back there, like old Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania Hulk Hogan, which is what I used to watch when he was doing the Hulkamania thing. And I don't know if the game's any good or not, but I mean, just that idea of being able to play with old wrestlers alongside the new ones sounded kind of cool. So, as an alternative to one-on-one fighting games, I think I might start buying more wrestling games just to like mix it up a little bit. There's a sequel to this I need to find, but it's pretty expensive. I think it's called Blades of Time. But X-Blades, I hear this game is absolutely terrible. I hear Blades of Time isn't much better. It's better than this, but not by much. But this is like a third-person action beat-em-up type game. And I got this dirt cheap at that disc replay joint that I keep talking about, which is why I picked it up. Haven't really sat down to play it much other than I remember when I first bought it, I played it a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll come back to it. And I still haven't. And here's a one-on-one fighting game. This is it a one-on-one fighting game? It all began with a monster and a counter. Is this an RPG? This might be an RPG. Why am I thinking this is a fighting game? Because it's got a similar name to In Birth. X-Blaze Code Embryo. Another anime-looking thing. Like I said, anything by Axis, NIS America, or Atlas, I will buy it if it's cheap. So, why did I think this was a one-on-one fighting game? I don't know, but it looks like an RPG. So, yeah. Or maybe a visual novel? I don't know. It has super tiny writing, which I cannot read. The minds behind the Blaze Blue series take great pride in presenting a new story of the Azure. So this takes place in the same Blaze Blue universe. That explains why I bought it. Oh, man, when I could actually read things up close. And I talked about, renting stuff from the library. The first game I rented from the library by my work when I realized that they do that kind of thing. The first game I rented there was XCOM Enemy Unknown. I had played the XCOM game, XCOM UFO Defense on the PS1. I remember watching a friend of mine and his, at the time, girlfriend, now this is ex-wife, playing this for hours and hours and hours on the PS1 while I was sitting on the couch falling asleep because they just didn't care that I was there. They were just like, this game is the best thing ever. Not realizing that it's not very fun to watch people play it. It's better when you are playing it. But it's a tactical strategy game, and it's super fun when you are playing it. But I was curious as to how that could go in 3D. So getting this for free to rent from the library, hells yeah. So I jumped on it. And you have them, when you rented a game from this library, you had it for a week. And if you showed up late, it was like $1 per day, I think it was, for the late fees. And I returned this like a week late. So I ended up owing like $7 because I kept on playing it. It is super fun. I love the mechanics of it. I remember watching Pro Jared streaming playing this. Like he was like coming up with names for the characters and kind of giving them personalities and stuff while they were playing. Like when they were doing the actual strategy, like the gameplay sections, he was like giving them personalities. It was making it super fun, and I really wanted to get it again, and I eventually found this at a GameStop. So super awesome strategy game. Really liked the mechanics of it and all that. And then they released a sequel, and it took me forever to get a copy of this. That is XCOM Enemy Within, the Commander Edition. And this comes with... Enemy Within is the standalone expansion to the 2012 Strategy Game of the Year and includes the base game experience with all new expanded content, as well as the Elite Soldier Pack, Slingshot, and Second Wave add-on content with new soldiers, weapons, and abilities, new enemies, new maps, and missions. So I had to get that. Thing is, I remember the reason I got this was because of idiots at GameStop. I remember... what game did I buy? It was Smooth Moves. WiiWare, or was it? No. WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii. And when I brought it home, after I bought it from the GameStop, I brought it home and I opened it up. There was no disc in it. So I bring it back to the store and I'm like, and this was like a store that was kind of out of the way. This is actually like further south into Chicago. So like close to the south side, which is not where I am. So it's kind of in a sketch neighborhood. So I didn't want to have to drive back there, but I did. And I'm like, dude, you forgot to put the disc in the case. Can I have the disc, please? And the guy's like, oh, okay. Didn't seem like he gave a crap. It was like some teenager that was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. So he kind of like looks through the slots, you know, where they have all the games in the cabinet, in the shelves, in the drawers of their shelving units. And he turns around. He has this like weird smile on his face, like, sorry, we actually don't have the game. I'm like, how are you putting the game on the shelf, like the box on the shelf, if you don't have the game in stock? Yeah. He's like, you want to pick something else? I'm like, okay, fine. And I'm looking at the other Wii games, and I was looking for Resident Evil, the Dark Side Chronicles, I think is the light gun game version for the Wii. And I had the other one, but I needed Dark Side Chronicles. So I'm like, oh, they have Dark Side Chronicles. I bring it up. It was the exact same price. He rings it up, puts the disc in. I walk out, and I'm glad that I looked at it. So I'm walking to my car, and I open it back up, and he put the other Resident Evil game in here or in that case, instead of the one that I had bought. It wasn't the Dark Side Chronicles. It was the other one. So I walked back in, and I was so mad. I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, your eyes work, right? And he's like, what? I'm like, you put the wrong disc in here. I'm like, give me my goddamn game. I'm tired of this. And I'm like, and you better not tell me you don't have this game in stock, or I'm going to call fucking corporate. I have your name and everything. And he's like, chill, bro, chill. So he looks in the cabinet, and he comes back up, and he's still got that stupid smile. Nope, don't have that game in stock either. I'm like, why are you putting these boxes out, not having the game in stock? Yeah. So he goes, you want to pick something else up? I'm like, this is the last time I pick a game. I'm like, if you tell me that this game is not in stock, I'm like, I'm going to have your ass. And I picked this. And I was like, oh, I finally found it somewhere. I've been looking for this forever. This Commander edition of it. Couldn't find it anywhere. Finally, they have it, and I'm standing at the register as he's like searching through. Look what I found. Pops it in. I was like, give me that fucking thing. And I just walked out. Dip shit. And I never went back to that GameStop again. So this game, if I remember correctly, got taken off the shelves because of a licensing issue. And that is X-Men Destiny. So this was like one of two games that uses, what is the name of it? The Havoc engine. It was like the graphics engine, Unreal maybe. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it. Havoc maybe. This was one of two games that illegally used the game engine. They never paid for the rights to use it to make the game. And they thought they could just like slip by and nobody would notice. And when it came out and the people that made the engine realized that that's what was used to make the game, like they told the people, like, you take that game off the shelves, like you recall it or we're suing you. And that's exactly what happened. Like this got pulled and some other game, I think it was for the 360, got pulled. And it turns out I think I have both of them. And so what this is an RPG, an X-Men RPG where you get to create your own X-Men and then fight alongside all the other ones, which is kind of rad. So it's kind of like a little bit of Force Unleashed, but with X-Men, which is kind of awesome. It's just, you can't, this game got pulled off the shelves after a few months, I think. Then we have this. I hear this is not great. This is a Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z. So, who was the one that made this? Team Ninja. I could have sworn like Suda or somebody like that, or Platinum made this. So this is not like a real Ninja Gaiden game. What this is like a hack and slash Ninja Gaiden game that isn't like the way the new versions that came out for like the Xbox were. This one is just about like you killing zombies, ninja zombies, and that's all you do. You're just running around killing zombie ninjas, and it's like really, really stupid. It is very fast paced and it is really flashy and colorful, but there's really not much to it. It's very repetitive. And like I think this kind of ended the franchise right here. They thought they were doing something kind of cool and different, and just everybody was like, "Yeah, no, we're not. We don't need that shit. No, sorry." But I got it dirt cheap, so I didn't care. And then we've got these. Same kind of thing happened here. We got Yakuza 3 and 4. We never got the 5th game over here. And they got it in Japan physically, but we never got it here. I don't know if maybe 4 didn't sell very well or whatever. But the first 2 obviously sold enough to bring 3 and 4 over. So these are like beat 'em ups where you're playing as this Yakuza guy. Is his name Kazuya or I can never remember his name. Kuzima? I can't. The writing, the wording on this, like the type font, is so tiny. I can never remember the guy's name. But it's like a beat 'em up, but like really, really super long cutscenes. And I'm talking long, like Metal Gear Solid, like 3 long and 4 long, 2 long, 2 long had 2 and long ones too. Like it's kind of pseudo open world where you're going around and doing like missions and stuff like that, but all the stuff ends in just like a fist fight. And you do like stupid random stuff like there's video games you can play in like the arcades and all that kind of stuff, other Sega games and whatnot. And the stories are cool, the characters are cool, but like the cutscenes just last forever. But like I said, I don't think part 4 sold very well. So we never got the 5th one over here. But we did get Yakuza Dead Souls, which is exactly what happened to Ninja Gaiden, where they're just kind of like, okay, well, if we're not going to release part 5 over in the States, we can at least make like a zombie Yakuza game, which nobody gave a shit about. Notice this one was not included in the big Yakuza box set that came out for the PS4. So, yeah. Have not been able to bring myself to play this one yet. That does not look good to me. Even the graphic style looks kind of like cel-shaded. It looks weird. And the last game I am going to talk about tonight is another collection. Yeah, I don't get it either. Like Shenmue feels like a slice of life game with like some quick time events in it and driving around a forklift. That one is actually like completely, like you play that game. It's not like you watching people talk. Well, yeah, it is like you watching people talk all the time. Like I said, the cutscenes are super long, but there's more gameplay in that than there is in Shenmue. This is another collection, but this is the Zone of the Enders HD collection. This has the first 2, I do believe, games in it. I think it's the first 2. Yeah, and it includes the demo of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. I talked about that last week. That I hate that subtitle, Revengeance. It's so stupid. These are Hideo, or God, I can't remember his name. Kojima. These are games by Kojima. They're like giant mech games in 3D, and you're basically floating around destroying other mechs and stuff like that. I have the virtual reality, like the PSVR version of Part 2, and it is not good. Not good at all. And I played the first Zone of Enders on the PS2 a little bit. I remember I bought it because of its connection to the Metal Gear the franchise because of Hideo Kojima. But like I never really got into it, so I didn't really like pay attention when the second one came out. But this one has both of them on it, so if I ever feel the itch to play it, I got both of them right there in HD. So that is it for the PlayStation 3 live streams. This is the last one. Next week I'll be back with a new console, most likely the Wii. I do believe. I think so. Yeah, next week we'll start the Wii. That one will not be broken up into 3. That'll probably be broken up into 2. Because I have a lot of games for the Wii, but not as much as the PS3 or the 360. So that'll probably be 2 different videos or streams for that. So that'll be next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Central for the Wii games collection videos. And I'll be back tomorrow with another short. So the last one I released was, oh boy, was it another review? I think it was my review of No Hard Feelings. So tomorrow will be another video game one. I can't remember which one I'm going to release, but there's a video game short coming out tomorrow. And then Saturday, I'm going to release episode 8 of Tides of Flame, my Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I'm playing with the Game Grinder and Mondane Designs, who shows up in the streams. Sometimes he hasn't shown up recently, which is kind of sad. I miss my Mondane. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be releasing that here on Saturday afternoon at some point, probably Saturday morning. So keep an eye out, like I said. And be back next week for the Wii streams. So thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I really appreciate it. You're all awesome. I will talk to you next time. Chris, I almost called myself my old handle. Chris from Midlife Crisis Media, signing out. I was wrong. Tomorrow's short will be another movie one because the last one I released was my favorite way forward games. That was video game based. I'm alternating between movie and video game. So tomorrow will probably be another movie review, either Oppenheimer or Talk to Me. So we shall see. By the way, bye.